Hello everyone and welcome back to another Batman miniature game 3rd edition battle report. The same Arkham City-esque table layout as last time, although sewers and lampposts are in different locations. And today it is 350 rep of the Kobra cult using their new faith related objective deck, released in the objective deck pack 1, going up against a Batman list, just a normal Batman list, besides the big man himself, but we can go over that in a second. So here is the Kobra Kula Yagi, or Yaga, I never remember, Kobra cult, for brevity's sake. And they are of course using their new objective deck, which is a mixture of generic cult cards and also some specific just to the Kobra cult, implying that down the line we will see more cults. We'll go over the special rules in a second. They're being led by Jeffrey, the man to be feared, Psychic Lady Eve. Then we also have the new Raptor, who is dual affiliation, Court of Owls and Kobra cult, due to what he does in the comics. So he's in this list as a free agent. And then as far as generic people go, we have the Kobra hybrid, the Snake Man. He has a bulletproof vest upgrade. We have the Lancehead Captain, who has an extra magazine for her double blood, I think, machine gun. And also the Fervent Follower upgrade, which is related to Faith, which I'll go over in a second. And then just a generic, I think it's called Lancehead 2 or Lancehead 1. He's got the standard 5-shot single blood assault rifle. But the thing that's different about how Faith works for Kobra cult now, it works in sequence with their objective cards. So when a friendly model places a suspect marker within 8 inches of your boss, you gain 1 faith. If anyone has the Fervent Follower upgrade, which isn't said here but I'm just telling you what it does, they also generate 1 faith on activation. If they successfully land a hit on an enemy target, they generate faith as well. And I think I'm forgetting something, possibly on here, nope. But the bad thing about faith now is if you don't spend it in a turn, at the end of the turn, for however many faith counters you have left over, and we're going to use the D12 here to keep track of it, your leader takes stun damage equal to how much unspent faith you had, which is honestly quite terrible. I've used this list once online, and that hurts if you can't spend them. But objective cards for the Kobra cult have a new symbol, which is the one at the bottom of the card there, which is a faith amount that you can spend to use them as a resource as opposed to normal resource points. They also have empowered amounts, which if you're willing and able to pay the extra faith, do something even better. You can also flip this over. When a cult boss suffers damage, you can also spend 1 faith to assign it to a cultist within spire range, so within 8 inches. And if they take more damage than they had, you still take the remaining damage. If your boss is removed as a casualty, all current faith counters are lost, and your new boss would start generating them again, presumably. And then there's the empowered thing, so spend additional faith counters equal to X. So if you have something that say like it costs 2 faith and then it says empowered 2, that would be a total of 4 that you need to do the thing. But we'll cover that more once we're actually drawing objective cards and stuff. A little complicated. We'll definitely be trying very hard to keep track of the correct amount of faith. It will be difficult sometimes, but as I say, if it isn't spent, poor Jeffrey here is going to take stun damage, and that's pretty nasty. And here is the Batman list, although first of all, just correcting something I said there, forgot the new Kobra cultist rule, which is the one I was thinking of, is purely they can effort to give themselves extra defense dice. I was thinking of the old Kobra cultist rule, which is the one where if you attack someone successfully, you generate faith. That's not a thing anymore. I was forgetting and going by the old rules. Anyway, the Batman crew is being led by the 80th anniversary Batman, who is a little bit OP, but such as it is, he'll be deploying last, and he can deploy literally anywhere, including in base to base with enemy models. He also causes them to potentially fall over. You can only see him if you're in base to base. He's a bit too powerful. This might not be a fair matchup. He is very scary. He also has the +1 endurance, putting him at 10 from the upgraded Batsuit. He's joined by the new Tim Drake Red Robin. Oh, the theme of this list, incidentally, is detectives, because he has detective, Red Robin has detective, Bullock has detective, and obviously the GCPD detective at the back there also has detective. And we're joined by one of the Back to Gotham cops, I forget which one, and Officer Merkel. Merkel and the detective both have extra magazines, so they have +1 ammo, and then the detective and the guy with the torch both have radios, because obviously Batman's nowhere near Inspire range if he's down the field when the match starts. So we are set up for deployment with the usual 8 inches in from each side, just to keep things nice and not complicated / bad. But because of the nature of this Batman list and because of the 80th anniversary Batman being a threat, it's a little bit of an odd one. Plus, 2 of the Batman crew had hidden. So the Kobra Cult has deployed first. Well, they went first with their first placement. And they've deployed in what is known as the anti-80th anniversary Batman formation. So no matter where he appeared, yes, he'd be getting free hits on someone, but then everybody else could dogpile on him. And, well, they might not be able to take him out, but that's the risk, obviously, of losing your leader turn 1, depending on what you choose to do. And Jeffrey is actually, he's got a Batman stat line, so he's not like a super easy boss to take out. So they've deployed in a big cluster to force Batman not to deploy next to one of them, essentially, because it's not worth losing one henchman versus losing your leader. So Batman himself has deployed over there, because he can deploy anywhere. Bullock and the JCB detective have hidden themselves into there. Bullock has Audacity, the other one doesn't, but he has a radio. Normal Cop inside deployment over there, and then Red Robin and Merkel, both with Audacity, also inside their deployment. And Red Robin he's not a super good fighter, but he has like a nice mixture of harassment, and he has hacking, which like Oracle and Infiltrate Op has, so he can manipulate suspect markers. But yeah, that's how things are set up to get the game started. No Phase 1 or Phase 2 card being played, so we're just jumping straight into the game. So for the Kobra Cult, Lancehead 2 got started, and he's the one with the 5 single blood machine gun next to Jeffrey there. He was in with Inspire range without Audacity. He moved up, he put down his suspect marker, which generated him 1 faith for being within 8 of Jeffrey, which he then immediately spent on the ritual cost, the faith cost for Ritual, which is a cultist card, which is hopefully more or less in... Yep, there we are. A friendly model placing a suspect may spend its special action to place another suspect and may place both within 4. Oh, actually I missed that second part, so it can be within 4. I was wondering, in that case we'll just move that slightly there. Now, the only odd thing about this card is it doesn't specify you need Audacity, because everyone has special actions. And presumably it says you use up your special action just so that if you did have Audacity, you couldn't then do another special action. Because he doesn't have Audacity, so normally he wouldn't be able to do one in his turn. But the wording of the card implies to me that he can still do this. But that could be wrong. It's a new deck, so there might be mistakes. But either way, he's put down his last marker, he spent the 1 faith he generated to put down another one. First up for the Batman crew was Officer Merkel. Neither side has any passes, incidentally, it's 6 models both sides. He had Audacity. He moved slightly diagonally so that he had a little bit of cover from this rock here. He put down a suspect marker, and then that's all we did with his turn. He is outside of 10 to be able to do that. Next up for the Kobra Cult was Raptor, and he has a built-in back claw, which he used with his special action because he has Audacity. So he threw himself, not his whole distance, I think 16 in total. He's not an acrobat, so he doesn't get anything extra from that. He threw himself there though, and then he did his gas attack, which I forgot what it's called is. Oh, his arm thing has a weird name, but either way, he's got a gas attack and he can fight with it hand to hand. And he used his gas attack on poor Merkel over here. It's a beam, so it ignores cover, and it's a expansive gas template, so you just roll for like how many models are hit rather than rate of fire. It does only 1 stun, so it's not exactly life-threatening, but it did also do Enervating 2, so Merkel can't do 2 efforts next time he gets the option. But it also scored, I'm feeling weird, because Enervating is an effect. So that is the Kobra Cult on the board for 2 points. Raptor's a little bit exposed where he is, but he's got a sidekick stat line, so he might be able to withstand, certainly Red Robin. Red Robin doesn't hit as hard as like Nightwing or anything like that. So it was indeed Red Robin who activated next for Batman's crew. He moved next to the suspect marker here that Merkel placed, and he actually revealed it, so you might be wondering why there's another one there. It's because for his final action of the turn, he used his special action to order Merkel to put down another one. But the one that he revealed became viable commodities, so Red Robin is now holding on to loot and will potentially score those 3 points at the end of the game. Didn't try to engage Raptor, not yet anyway, opted instead to try and play the long con, and he does have Merkel for support. Next up for the Kobra Cult was the Kobra Hybrid, aka the Snake Man, who was down here. With Audacity, he moved next to the Sewer Grating, he manipulated it. He's a henchman though, so he has a free manipulate from being so close to Jeffrey when he activated. So when he popped out the other side, he plopped down a suspect marker. He is out of sight of the cop there, which triggers the criteria for can be anyone. A friendly model no enemy model can draw line of sight to, places a suspect within 6. He's outside of, oh actually no, he might not be outside of 12 of Bullock, so actually Bullock would be able to see him. He's not in 4 of the light, but I think he still might be within 12, so that may not score. Let me measure that up. Nope, sadly Bullock is well within 12. He's just under 10 inches away, so that means that does not score the criteria for the card. Thought he was safe over there. He's still going to play that happened. They went and put down the suspect marker, etc., but that card is not scoring. The JCPD detective activated without audacity but with a radio, so he had a free inspire. He put down a suspect marker with that inspire, manipulate, and then he moved ever so slightly. He didn't move very far, like 3 inches tops, just to give him eyes on for potentially shooting next turn. Oh, forgive me, it was not a normal suspect marker, it was the first snitch of the game. Now, if a model was to go through there, they might be within 6. Oh, sorry, it needs to be 4. Probably not within 4, actually, so there's most likely no way this will not score, but that is in play. Forgot to mention that. The Lancehead Captain for the Cobra Cult activated next, and I made an error with the Favorite Follower upgrade, which she has, and by default Lady Eve has. It's not when they activate that you generate extra faith, it's at the Raise the Plan phase, so currently the Cobra Cult is at 2 faith. They used the one that was generated over there, but they each have also generated 1, so they're sitting at 2 right now. She didn't have audacity, so she just moved up, and she's too close to other suspect markers to do anything with the free manipulate she has from the Inspire, so she's just putting herself in a position to potentially shoot next turn. JCPD Cop 1 activated next, without audacity but with a radio for that free inspire from Batman. He walked around the corner to face down the large snake man and revealed his suspect marker, which in turn scored a comb through everything. Reveal an enemy suspect marker, and then if you want you can draw an additional card and discard one of them. So they are on the board finally for 2 points. Second last activation for the Cobra Cult was Lady Eve. She moved up to this wall so the JCPD detective can't see her instantly next turn. She used her Cobra armor, which means using 1 effort, so she took 1 stun to give herself 1 extra defense die when she needs to roll it, just in case Batman goes after her, giving her a little bit of extra defense. Speaking of which, it's over to either him or Bullock. It was time for the big bat to activate, and he used his bat claw to get himself into base to base with Lady Eve. When he enters base to base with someone, or when someone enters base to base with him, they immediately have to pass a willpower roll or get scared. She passed her willpower roll, and in doing so, made Batman trigger her trap card, her very own card, Strict Control. A friendly model within 4 inches of a friendly model with a leader or sidekick rank passes a willpower endurance roll. Presumably, again, she is within 4 inches of herself, so that this counts. It may not be the case, but we're playing it that it is this time. She's within 4 inches of herself, she passed a willpower roll, that scored for a massive 3 points. Was it worth it? I hope so, because then Batman did a casual 10 stun damage to her, because he has Close Combat Master, so he's full rerolls. 3+ on the strength die. She's defense 4, but not good enough. So she is knocked out, and in her being knocked out, just scored a very quick, dirty job for knocking out a miniature for the Batman crew. So they only gained 1, whereas the Cobra Cult gained 3, but obviously Lady Eve is knocked out. So Jeffrey himself, the man to be feared, activated with audacity and resisted the urge to go after Batman and instead played the game. He has 10 inches, he moved up, he put down a suspect marker right next to his lamp. I guess in hindsight actually he could also punch this lamp. Is there any reason to... Yeah, because he didn't use his tactical... Oh no, sorry, he used his tactical to put down a suspect marker. What am I talking about? He then used his special action for Order. He also has Order, much like Red Robin does, and he ordered Raptor to put down a suspect marker. Now, this is a bit strange because thanks to this being done, a card can now be scored, but it can't be scored in this phase. It's going to insta-score at the start of the next phase, so we'll cover the next turn rather. It's a little weird to have set it up in this way, but we can cover it when it happens then. For now though, we still have to go back over to see what Harvey Bullock does. So knowing that the Cobra Hybrid is pretty sturdy and has been upgraded with a bulletproof vest, Harvey instead just came down here a little bit outside of 4 of the snitch and put down a suspect marker, and that does take us to the cleanup. At the end of battle round 1, Lady Eve did not wake up, which is pretty disastrous and also quite hard to do because I think she's like 7 or 8 willpower. But she won't be waking up for turn 2, which is real bad for them. Batman and whoever else had 1 stun, Red Robin I think. Oh wait, no, it was Merkel. They've healed 1 as well because it's the end of the round. And there's no phase 4 cards being played by either side. The Cobra Cult ended the turn with 2 faith, which means that Jeffrey gets hurt for 2 stun, but then he heals 1 because it's the end of the turn, so he still has 1 stun damage on him though, just because of unspent faith, and that's the downside to it. The snitch scores, so Batman's crew has put another 3 points on the board, and that's that. But the loot obviously still stays in play and is being held by Red Robin. So here we are at the top of turn 2, and it will be the Batman crew going first. The Kobra cult starts with 2 faith points because their 2 favourite followers are still on the table. Presumably, Lady Eve still generates 1 even though she's unconscious because she's not removed. And you can take a look at who has the Audacity here. No cards being played in Phase 1 or Phase 2 for the Batman crew. However, there is 2 Phase 2 cards. So it's a bit like the Penguin crew, always doing plots within plots. Being played by the Kobra cult. The first one is The Great Plan. And this is a Kobra specific one. There are more friendly suspect markers than enemy suspect markers within 8 of the corners of the gaming area. Currently, that is not going to score because that's the closest suspect marker to any of the corners, and it's a Batman one. If that was removed, however, and the Kobra cult managed to put down 1 in the corner, this would score. But either way, it is in play. And the other one is the one I was alluding to, although it actually scores at the end of the round, so it makes much more sense to me now. And it's Ritual, but not being played as a resource this time, being played as its scoring criteria. Have a friendly suspect marker within 6 inches of 3 other ones. When scored, you remove 2 of them, but it doesn't score until the end of the round. That suspect marker is within 6 inches of 3 other ones. Now, if any of them get removed, this doesn't automatically not score, because you have until the end of the round. So if one of them got removed, 2 of them, 3 of them, as long as there's enough Kobra cultists left, they can go put down other suspect markers where the ones that removed were, and this could still score. So there's a potential 6 points on the table this turn for the Kobra cult already. And with that, let's jump into Batman's first activation. So perhaps expectantly, it was the big bat that got the turn started. He moved into base to base such that he was touching the base of Lancehead Captain and the other Lancehead as well. They actually both managed to pass their willpower roll, so neither of them were scared. He decided to pump all his attacks into the more dangerous gun of the 2 and did yet again 10 stun. She had 3 chances to roll 5s to avoid some of the damage. He did get a crit as well, so it would have knocked her over, not that it matters because she is knocked out. And that scored a They Must Know Pain for a quick 1 point for doing at least 6 damage. And obviously she isn't getting a turn now either. First activation for the Kobra cult was Raptor, who moved into base to base with Red Robin and Merkel. He was technically standing on a suspect marker, obviously touching it, so he revealed that for his tactical action rather than attacking. Again, playing the game, not the urge to murder, and scored a Sabotage card, which is a Kobra one. Reveal an enemy suspect marker. There are no enemy suspect markers within 4 inches of any edge of the table. There's 2 suspect markers left over there, 1, 2, but neither of them are within 4 of a board edge, so that scores for 2 points. GCPD Detective activated with Audacity this time, and he had a really busy turn. He used all his actions, but first you might notice there's an old school 2nd edition objective marker there because Call an Ambulance was played as a free resource. Place a medical supply marker in contact with one of your suspect markers. Done. A friendly model in contact with this during its activation can manipulate it to heal 3 damage of any type or an effect, or make a friendly model within 4 recover from KO. And then you get rid of it when it's used. Now it does, actually, I thought this, like, anybody could steal this, but it does say a friendly model, so enemy models can't interact with that. It was mostly to get out of the hand, but it's there as a potential heal. For his movement action, he moved into base to base with Lady Eve. For his special action, he arrested her, so she is gone. And then for his tactical action, he shot the Lancehead in the back of the head for 2 successful hits, because he's only defense 2. For 1 blood, 1 stun each, 2 blood, 2 stun. That puts him at half willpower, half endurance, and also scores a quick 1 victory point for They Won't See Me Coming, which is just inflict damage on a model that didn't have line of sight on you when you started your activation. He was over there, so most certainly did not. That was a super effective turn from him. Lancehead 2, who just got shot, activated with Audacity. He fled round here out of line of sight, put down a suspect marker. It's outside of 10 and outside of 4 of that. And this time did actually score, a Can Be Anyone for putting down a suspect marker. No one can draw a line of sight to him, and he's within 6 of an enemy model. He's within 6, as the crow flies, of the Batman. So that is 2 points. Harvey Bullock activated and simply moved so he was 4 inches away from that suspect marker, so he could put down another one. I guess he could actually manipulate it so it's closer to over there because he's a detective, so it can be within 3 of them. To put down another snitch. Now, if the hybrid or Jeffrey take the sewer grating, that will be enough to cancel that, but they'd be wasting their whole turn to do it, so the ball is in their court, as they say. Jeffrey, Destroyer of Worlds, activated, and first of all played Can Be Anyone as a faith point thing. A friendly model activated, gained sneak attack, and also empowered it. This was just to get rid of faith points because it actually made no difference. Well, actually, sorry, the empowered part does. Empower it for 2, bringing the total cost to 3, which is how many points they had. gain 1 extra attack die. So he used that. Sneak attack wasn't relevant though because he attacked someone who could already see him. So he moved into base to base with Red Robin. They both efforted a full 3 times. Jeffrey used his double blood sword. He does also have Close Combat Master reinforced gloves, but he wanted to kill Robin. And 10 is apparently the magic number of the match because that's how much damage he did. This Robin has 7 health, so he ain't getting a turn. And that also scored Sacrifice, a friendly model within 4 of a friendly suspect marker, right there. Inflicts at least 1 blood. He did 9 more than was required, so that's a score for 2, and an activation for the Batman crew lost. Oh, and of course, totally forgot, Red Robin was holding the loot, which has now dropped to the floor there. Still in play and will remain in play until the end of the game. Second last activation for the Batman crew. Merkel activated. Didn't have Audacity and no radio, so all he could do was grab the loot and run. He fled into cover over there. He's now holding the loot, so it is still in play with the Batman crew. And it's over to the Kobra Hybrid, I think, is the final activation for the Kobra cult. So the Kobra Hybrid just moved ever so slightly into base to base with the JCPD cop. Efforted a full 3 times. The cop did not. He was doing blood stun. 3 hits got through for 3 blood, 3 stun, and also he has poison on his attacks as well, so he's poisoned, which might actually kill him in the recap phase, I think, because he only has 4 health. And also scored for the Kobra cult, They Must Know Pain, which we saw earlier for the Batman crew for inflicting at least 6 damage in a single attack. And the final activation was the JCPD cop, who didn't have Audacity but did have a radio. He moved into base to base with the Surge Rating and used it to get out of dodge. He fled down here, hoping to head towards medical. He actually has 5 HP, so even if the poison hurts him at the end of the turn, he will not die from it. And speaking of which, we are into the recap for Battle Round 2. So then in Battle Round 2, the cop did in fact take 1 more blood damage at the top left of your screen, so he has 1 health left. And the Landhead Captain did wake up, so she's conscious and potentially could be getting a activation in the next battle round. Now in terms of cards in play, no Phase 4s got played, so it just comes down to the Phase 2s in play. The Great Plan did not score. There was a Snitch. That's the closest thing to a board edge, which obviously doesn't count for the Cobra Cult, so that's gone. The Ritual, however, all the suspect markers here were not tampered with, so the Ritual has scored for a massive, blurry 3 points. But, conversely, the Snitch that Bullet put down, utterly ignored, so that has also scored for 3 points for the Batman crew. So they've scored to equalise that, and Merkel is currently carrying the loot, which remains in play. Top of round 3, and it will be the Cobra Cult going first. And stop me if you've heard this one before, but they're playing 2 Phase 2 cards that we don't need to spend long covering, because it's literally 2 more copies of the exact same Phase 2 cards. So another great plan for having more suspects within the 8 inches of corners of the table than the enemy, and then also having a suspect marker within 6 inches of 3 other ones. Oh, totally forgot, when that other one scored, 2 of those markers should have been removed. So we'll just quickly remove 2 of those, and that'll be the 2 that have to get put back down for it to score again. Glad I remembered that there. No cards being played in Phase 1 or Phase 2 for the Batman crew. It's Cobra Cult going first. Everyone in the Batman crew has Audacity except Merkel, pretty much accepting that he's probably going to get his face pounded in. And everybody except the knocked down captain for Cobra Cult have Audacity. So Jeffrey got Battle Round 3 started by using the special action to order Raptor to put down a suspect marker, which he did. He then moved into base to base with Merkel. Neither of them efforted for this, although he could only have done 1 at most because of his innervating. And he did 6 blood, which was enough to kill Merkel, so Merkel has dropped the loot he was carrying, so it's most likely not going to score. But sorry, I forgot to cover. At the start of Jeffrey's activation, Awakening was used for 1 faith point, because only 1 fervent follower is still alive, so that generated the 1 faith required. When performing an attack, he also applies poison. So he poisoned Merkel as he killed him, and that was played before he moved in. So in killing Merkel, he actually scored an Awakening card, because he had 2 of them. An enemy model within 8 inches of a friendly model, they were base to base, and Raptor counts if that's how that's supposed to be interpreted, is removed as a casualty while suffering poison. It doesn't have to be as a result of the poison effect, just, come on, be in focus, just has to be poisoned, which he was. These cards sometimes, I swear. There we go, that's in focus. So, 2 of them in their hand, 1 was spent as a resource, or rather as a faith card, and then the other one, as a result, was able to score. So once again, the 8th anniversary, Batman was first up for the Batman crew. He ignored the one who's the Lancehead captain, who is now conscious, and came around the corner to attack the just normal Lancehead who had Audacity but hadn't activated yet. Punched him out for 12 stun, so he is knocked out 12 ways from Sunday and will not be getting an activation. Didn't score any cards on it, but did take away an activation. So the Lancehead captain activated without Audacity, and you have to use a movement action to stand up if you've fallen down or are waking up from being knocked out. So she did, suffered impaired movement and couldn't get very far, so she just kind of eked around the corner there to be out of line of sight of the GCPD detective, but couldn't do anything else with her turn. The GCPD detective did indeed activate with Audacity, moved next to the suspect marker rather than chasing down the Lancehead captain, revealed it, and scored another comb through everything for revealing an enemy suspect marker. Already at the second last activation for the Kobra cult, Raptor activated, who was next to that suspect marker, used his back claw to put himself in a position that he wanted. Behind the JCPD detective, he efforted 3 times. The JCPD detective did not. The attack rolls were actually pretty rubbish, though, unfortunately. So 3 hits got through with his claw for 3 blood, 3 stun. If he'd got the 4th hit through, it would have been enough to knock him out, not kill him. But either way, even though JCPD detective is still standing, it was enough to score another sacrifice. A friendly model within 4 of a friendly suspect marker, right there, which is why he went there, did at least 1 blood damage, so that is another 2 points on the board for the cult. So they're getting their behinds kicked a little bit in terms of people on the table, but I feel like they've been holding their own scoring wise. So Harvey activated and he's been putting in work. He moved with Audacity and he put down another assessment marker, and it was the final, I believe, Snitch, and it's slightly far away from him because he's a detective, so he can place and reveal within 3. The Kobra hybrid, who was up this end of the table, put down a suspect marker. He had Audacity, and then he moved his 10 inches all the way down here, aiming for the medical area, which is probably where the final activation of the turn is about to go. Yep, sure enough, he moved into base to base. He used his manipulate, so it's gone now, and he could choose between either healing his poison or healing 3 damage. He opted to heal the 3 damage, because that gives him an outside shot of the snake potentially not murdering him. I believe that is turn. So at the end of the penultimate round, no additional phase 4 cards being played by either side. The Lancehead did not wake up, so that's him done for the game, although he could potentially be arrested in the final turn. The poison did actually kick in, so he's back to 2 damage and 2 blood damage in total on him. The ritual card for the Kobra cult, nowhere close to scoring, it's done. However, the great plan actually did score. You have to have more friendly suspect markers within 8 of the corners in the gaming area, so presumably what that means is like 8, 8, and then like the pie shape. And the only quadrant of the table that has any suspect marker in it, in that 8x8, is this corner up here, which is an enemy one, because the former Snitch, now turned into a normal suspect marker over there, is not in 8. So that does actually score the great plan. The Snitch for the Batman crew scores. Technically, the valuable commodities is still in play. It's sitting there in front of Jeff. Exceptionally unlikely it's going to score, but it has to stay in play. So, start of the final round, and there's a lot to cover, as you can maybe tell by all the new icons in the middle of the map. Let's quickly handle the Batman stuff. They are playing a phase 1 card. They finally drew their Die Hard. No good people for it though, because you can't play on Batman because you're not allowed to play on a leader. It's being played on Bullock. Raptor can probably reach him, but he does blood stun, so it's not as likely he'll kill him even with full efforts. And well, knocking out is possible, I suppose. But either way, so that's in play for the Batman crew. But then we have 3 cards in play for Kobra in the final turn. Phase 1, they drew their Die Hard, and it's being played on the Kobra hybrid, who's over there, so he has to live. Then in phase 2, they played another great plan, which we've seen, so we don't need to cover that either. That's just the, they have the suspect markers within distance of the corners. But then Jeffrey's card came out, the Kobra viral bomb. Look at that wall of text. So you place a Kobra bomb marker. Now that was in their back box, haven't painted it, so I'm just using the old 2nd edition contraband because it looks like a bomb in a box. You place it within 4 of the middle. Then you place 3 event markers within 8. 1, 2, 3. Essentially, as long as there's at least 1 event marker at the end of the turn, the bomb explodes. And if the bomb hurts anybody, it scores the card. Friend or foe. If someone goes to manipulate an event marker, they remove it. But you also roll a 1d6, and if you roll a 1, they accidentally set off the bomb and take damage, as does everybody within 8. So they accidentally score the card. So if everybody on the Batman crew scarpers, as in like just runs away, Jeffrey might have to get blown up by his own bomb to make sure of his scores, but it will score a massive 3 victory points if he achieves that, which would be pretty interesting. And I don't remember if I've said already or not, but it is the Kobra cult getting first activation in the final battle round. So lots of stuff to play for still. Let's see what happens. So Raptor got the final turn started, and he went after Bullock because that was the way to stop points. He only had enough willpower left over to effort twice. Bullock did not effort at all, knowing that Blood Stun was coming in, so he just had to be a little successful with his blocks, and he was, thankfully. So 3 hits got through for 3 blood, 3 stun. He did get a crit, so he's knocked down, but he has 6/6, so Raptor did not do enough, and I don't think anyone else is close enough to get to Bullock, so it's probably a safe bet on the diehard scoring. Big Batman activated. He came round the corner, back into base place with the Lancehead Captain. He only needed to do 1 stun, stopped counting after 6. She is very much unconscious and will not be getting an activation. The Kobra Hybrid activated with Audacity and moved into base to base with the JCPD Cop, efforted full 3 times and got 3 hits through for 3 blood, 3 stun. That was enough to kill him, and because he was poisoned, should have healed the poison, not the wounds in hindsight, scored an awakening for being within 8 of a model who was removed while also he was poisoned. Second last activation for the Batman crew. They're a bit thinner on the ground than I realised. JCPD Cop activated with Audacity, came round the corner, and he arrested the Lancehead Captain who Batman knocked out for get them off the streets, just simply for arresting a model and scoring 3 points. And even if that hadn't happened, he had enough movement to get round the corner and get him instead. So a very cult thing to do. Jeffrey activated last activation of the game for the Kobra cult, and he went over there to quietly contemplate life, knowing that when his bomb explodes, it's only going to hit him. So we are actually at the end of the game, but it's a bit of a double whammy blow to the Kobra cult, because I was rereading the Kobra bomb card. The bomb has to damage an enemy model, so Jeffrey is explodinating himself for 2 blood damage for no reason. That is not going to score. But Harvey was the last one to activate, and he played his own card as a resource to give him +1 rate of fire to partially negate the negative to moving and firing, so he was just losing the strength die, essentially. He moved, he shot, only 1 bullet of the 2 was firing, hit the Kobra, the hybrid, sorry, was shooting 2, well actually no he wouldn't have been, because he has a bulletproof vest. So actually, never mind, that wouldn't have been enough, because that's only adding 1, and if he was moving and firing he would still lose another 1, and the bulletproof vest would take away the last one. Yeah, never mind, I thought he'd actually managed to stop the Kobra's diehard from playing, because that would have been enough stun damage to knock him out, but forgot he had a bulletproof vest, so never mind. Harvey did nothing with his final turn, which is okay, honestly, because he was doing work for the whole thing. But that does mean the turn ends, Kobra Bomb explodes in an 8-inch bubble. I don't think, hang on, I've got the measuring tape here. Oop. Let's just make sure. Oh, the JCPD detective, actually, and Batman are within 8 of the bomb. So actually, that was a mistake. Actually, the bomb did score because it dealt 2 damage to him and him. So, Kobra Bomb scored for 3. There's still only 1 suspect marker within 8 of a corner, so the Great Plan has scored, and the Kobra did survive thanks to the bulletproof vest that he was given, so their diehard scored. Bullock survived, so Batman's diehard also scored, but the loot was left where a stain that used to be Merkel was, so their valuable commodities does not score. Really interested to see who's won this one. So there's a diehard on top of each pile, but the left side is the Kobra cult, this side is Batman. I think the Kobra cult might actually have taken this. This was a very close match. Let's see if this is as close as I thought it was. 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. That's one of the highest scores I've ever seen. 32. And Batman's crew, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 would usually be a fairly comfortable score, but not in the face of a 30 plus score by the Kobra cult, who ended the match with what, Jeffrey, the hybrid, and Raptor left? Oh no, sorry, and him, but he's unconscious. But although to be fair, the Batman crew survived with 3 of their 6 as well. So yeah, that was more even than I thought. And even if they hadn't accidentally put themselves in a position where the bomb was close enough to hurt them, that 3 points wouldn't have made a difference. They were still far enough ahead. So the Kobra Cult did really well there. Did better than when I tried their deck online, although they didn't do too badly. But definitely not as effective as there. The right things fell into place there, I think. So yeah, Kobra, very interesting. The faith points, hopefully I was keeping track properly with people placing within 8 of him. The 2 favourite followers, although in the latter 2 turns they were both dead. Might have ended that turn with 1 faith, or 2 faith, but he had 3 stun on him and 9 willpower, so he wasn't close to getting beaten up. I'm curious how things would have played out if turn 1, because Jeffrey went last, if Batman had just swooped in and they wasted both their turns, like, for the whole game, just punching each other. Like, how would this have played out if Batman and Jeffrey had just fought each other? I'm very curious about that, because I think, well, because Jeffrey's really good, believe it or not, but so's Batman. Batman does a lot of stun damage. I don't know, they'd be needing 5s to hit each other. If they both decide to use hand-to-hand combat, they both got rerolls. That would have been an interesting fight, but I feel like it would have led to a less interesting match, and that's the run you risk when you use the big 80th anniversary Batman with his starting anywhere and being very annoying. I don't know. That was a fun match though. I hope you enjoyed watching, and we'll hopefully see a new table layout next time. I think that's all the new decks used now, so we just need to go back and tweak some things and test them some more. Thanks for watching, and until next time, ta-ta for now.